Good morning guys, myself Professor Dhaval Chandarana, and today we will discuss some last 3 points of unit number 4 known as the introductions of cybercrime and law of cybercrime. Please guys, it is the important lecture for you that what are the different IT acts which we are covering in Indian jurisdictions which we are discussed in the last lecture. So for today's video lecture we will discuss some remaining last 3 points of unit number 4. First we are discuss a contemporary crimes. Second, containments and destructions of data. And the last and most important concept about cybercrime is Indian IT Act 2000. So we'll start with the contemporary crimes. First we'll study what is a contemporary crimes. In the contemporary terms, steganography has evolved into a digital strategy of hiding a file. I think I know and you all know very well what is a steganography. It is just a technique to hide the information behind some images, videos and audio files. For the instance, steganographers can hide an image inside another image, an audio files or a video files, or they can hide an audio video files inside another media or even inside a larger graphics file. It is thus the techniques regarding the hiding informations behind some another files as well as another images. Steganography differs from the cryptography in that while a cryptography works to mark the content of a message, steganography works to mark the very existence of the message. So it is the difference between a cryptography as well as a steganography. Cryptography is just a technique to decrypt a particular message, or we can say it's just a technique to generate the unreadable format message, when a steganography is just a technique to hide the information with some another different files. Through the steganography can be used for a quite many legitimate purpose like watermarking, for the cryptography protections, or a secure confidentials of informations. It is used equally or rather more for the illegitimate goals, because whenever some hiding information behind some another file, the main goal is to identify actual information which should be only for the authorized access. Who can access our data with have particular rights, they can access all the things which we should be hidden from the files. Following steps are generally followed to achieve the desired results. Means whenever we hiding some informations in a contemporary crime, what are the different steps we need to follow it? We just go through the different steps. First, locating a data, videos, audio file which requires to be hidden and transmitted. Means the actual information which should be transmitted via the internet, we just provide only informations or only information about the particular data which should be represent to the all over the medias all over the world, but we never provide any of the location which should be hidden from the another file. Second, locating a carrier file which will carry the data, video and audio file. Means we hiding the informations about which we never display against the unauthorized access. Third, using an appropriate steganography software which will permits embedding the data, video, audio files into the carrier file at the end of the receiver's end. Permit extractions thereof. A few software even permit the password protections. Means at large we can say that we are using some appropriate tools to hiding our informations as well as to protect our private data. Next, emailing the carrier files to the receiver, because at the receiver hand, if some getting informations which we are carried to the some another file, we are just emailing the file. At the receiver hand, they are using some tool through which they can hide the particular information which should be hidden from the other users. Next, decryptions of the message by the receiver, because if we are not getting the actual information which should be generated by the senders and hide from the senders. If we are unhide the data without any kind of permissions, then it should be not valid to the decryptions message, which should be performed by the receiver end. Now we study the containments of data. First we know that what is a containment and what is a containment of data in cyber security. Containments may have occurred in an information system when a classified information is found on a computer system which is not supposed to be there. Means it just provide the filtrations about all the data which should be coming from the different sources. This may have happened by accidents, by transmission of insecure data, because of information was changed to a different classifications rating, because user did not follow the protocols and transfer the information through insecure method such as floppy disk or thumb drives. So there are the different steps through which containments of data should be happen. By accidentally, if they can transfer informations, by transmitting of insecure data which are not passed by the firewall. Some of the information will be changed to the classification rating. It is also known as the containments of data. And the next one, fourth one, because of user didn't follow the protocols which should be mentioned by the firewalls as well as the security layer. If they are not follow the particular rules, then it should be an insecure method to transmitting any informations like a floppy disk or thumbnail. If someone transmitted through this medium, it's also known as an insecure method to transmit a data. Containments can also occur through the computer virus or other form of malwares. An antivirus tool should be enabled to remove an active viruses from the system, because we want to protect our system against a containments of data like a viruses and worms. So we need to update our antivirus on a regular basis so they can provide the real-time protections against a containments data. Now second thing which we are discussing are destructions of data. When you destroy a data, the goal is to make it totally unreadable regardless of the form of electronic media on which it was originally stored. I know we are IT engineers and we know the difference between delete a data and shift delete data. If we are just deleting a data, it should be stored on a recycle. But whenever we totally delete a particular data files, we provide a shift delete. So it should be completely unreadable from the source which we are storing the data. The process of data destructions also include ensuring that this data cannot be recovered and used for unauthorized purpose. Because if someone want to access our recycle, they easily get our destroyed data and perform some unauthorized activity through this deleted data. So whenever we delete some information from our computer, we permanently delete this particular information. So unauthorized never access this particular data, which should be deleted from the authorized users. Destroying data means it can no longer be read by an operating system or the particular application. Then it's be called as a totally unreadable data. Mere by deleting file, it is insufficient. Means if someone want to delete only data, so some unauthorized can access this particular deleted file and misuse these informations. When you delete a file on electronic devices like a computer, mobile phone, you may not be able to see it any longer, but the information is still stored on the device's hard drive or a memory chip, like in form of temporary file. Data destructions intends overwriting the current data with random data until the current data cannot be longer be rewrite or actually destroying the electronic medium. So in the last, we can easily say the destructions of data is nothing but the technique to destroy a file from the electronic media permanently. So a operating system and any kind of applications never reuse it. Now, why the data destructions is matter? What is the actual requirement of permanent delete of data in a particular computer system? In a day and age when the companies of all the size depends upon the electronic media for their most important business operations, all the data created by equipments needs to be secure or protected, but at the end of its life cycle it also need to be secure or destroyed, because whenever some hacking perform on a particular system, they may be focused on destructed data which should be deleted by the owners, and through this they can getting some informations, or we can say important informations. It's important for any organization to consider several important factors before they select how to destroy the all data, because if a data should be not permanently deleted, then some hacking may be happen. First, time. Is this something the company regularly does, or has its stockpiled all data storage equipment to do a larger amount of at once? Each of the different method explored below operations, or we can say operates on a different time scales. Means every organization have some persons to detect some unnecessary data want to delete permanently on a regular time intervals. If they are not doing those kind of activity, the data storage capacity is smaller when they are storing some private informations on the particular electronic media. They can't storing because of unnecessary files. So the organization must be do those kind of activity, or we can say data destruction, on a regular period of times. Knowing how much time you want to spend on data destructions can insufficiently the choice of method, because the actual time it depends on how the different way or how the different times when the organizations destruct a data. If they are doing a regular basis, then it should be take a lesser time. If some organizations not doing on a regular period of time, means they are performing destruction of data every 15 days, then it's take a much larger time comparing with the regular time. Second, cost. Can your company afford to get rid of old equipments, or is it the interested in reusing the older electronic media for the new purpose? Again, the answer to this question will be determined the type of destructions method you want to use, because if we destroy unwanted data which we never use in a future, we just remove it permanently. So our memory, or we can say storage capacity, will be free, and we can store a large amount of actual information we are currently use it. If a temporary data we are never deleted, it's require some more space to store, and at the time of the storing a new data, the disk should be not free for us. Next, validation and certifications. If you are destroying data because it's a legal requirement or a regulatory issues like time and cost within your industry, make sure that the method of selecting allows you to show that you have met any standards or requirements for a data destruction. Means who can destroy a permanent data? It is first condition to mention in electronic medium. Second, what are the different file which is never deleted if they require some space, and what are the data which may be deleted or it's not be deleted, it should be never matter for an organization. So we provide some validations and certifications about the data destructions. Now the important concept and the most important way to learn how the Indian IT Act 2000 will be performed on the cyber crime. It is the last point which we are discussed from the unit number 4 of cyber security subject. Please guys, be focused on it because it is a really important thing. India's Information Technology Act 2000 or we can say it is a IT Act, is a subject of contention and controversies. As it is embedded, it contains some of the most stringent privacy requirements in the world and has the unfortunate impact on holding intermediaries liable for the illegal contents. Means India just produced some the act which should be performed by the cyber crimes, or we can say against the cyber crimes. The IT Act of 2000 passed in a budget sessions of Parliament and signed by the President K.R. Narayanan in 2000. It underwritten further finalizations by the Indian Ministry of Information Technology by Pramod Mahajan. So the two person who can return this IT Act and who can sign by the introducing by the IT Act in India, K.R. Narayanan, and second one is Pramod Mahajan. The original act addressed electronic documents, e-signature, and the authentication of those records, means where this particular act should be performed. Whenever the information stored in an electronic document, or we can say in a soft copy, e-signatures which should be performed by any kind of software applications, and the authentication of those records which be covered by the electronic documents as well as e-signature. It also enacted penalties, or we can say penalties, for the security breaches, offensives including damaging computer system or committing a cyber terrorism. As we know very well that there are the two different activities should be performed on a cyber world. First one, it is committing a cyber terrorism, or I think damaging a computer system. Again, both the activity, the IT Act of 2000, it should be work against the cyber criminals as well as cyber crime. What are the requirements? Why the India introduced the IT Act 2000? The IT Act 2000 applies to companies that do business in India. This include the entities registered in India, outsource there, and the maintain servers within the country borders. Means if someone do business in India, and one of the things, if they are entries in registered in India, if outsourcing their materials from the outside of country, or if they maintain the servers within this country, the IT Act should be applied within this particular business or within this particular organizations. The Act cover all the activities involving online exchange and electronic documents. I think if it should be online exchange, then all the things should be part as a IT Act. The Act covers all the activity involving online exchanging and electronic documents. Like as previously we discussed, if something which should be transferred to the USB drive, it should be parked as a electronic documents. So the IT Acts, it should be work as if you are transferring data through the online as well as offline through the electronics documents. The IT Acts, it should be claim on both the things. For example, Instagram is a popular in India with many people participating in that social media app. However, Instagram is a US company, I think you know very well, and does not need to policies complying with the IT Act because it is not registered Indian company, it's never outsourcing anything or any products in India, and its server is not part of India, so they never becomes a IT Acts, and they are not covering any IT Acts which should be generated and it should be introduced by the Indian governments because it is completely US based company. However, a Snapdeal and an online shopping source in India is in an Indian company that conduct transactions in India. It is held to the stipulations in IT Act 2, and that is addressed in its privacy policy because it is belong to the IT as well as in Indian company. What are the objectives of IT Act, or we can say Act of 2000? The Information Technology Act 2000 provide the legal recognitions to the transactions done via the electronic exchange of data and another electronic means of a communications or the electronic commerce transactions. Means if we are purchasing anything through the online, through the any of the websites, it is one of the thing where we require to define a IT Act, because lots of crime it should be happening through the online, or we can say e-commerce. First, grant the legal recognitions to all the transactions done via the electronic exchange of data like money transactions through the mobile applications or another electronic means of communications or e-commerce like purchasing online, food delivery system like Swiggy and Zomato, online purchasing like Paytm, Amazon, Snapdeals, and all the thing. They can provide the platform to selling and purchasing products through the online in the place of earlier paper-based method of communication. As previously we know that the company should not provide the online transactions. They are just maintaining a paper-based method for the communications. Second, give a legal recognitions to a digital signature for the authentications of any informations or matters requiring a legal authentication. We know very well that digital signature is the most popular thing now in a cyber world, because it is just provide the authority against the legal documents in electronic media. Third, facilitate the electronic filling of a documents with the government agency and also the departments. Means whenever we are providing the informations to the Indian government, they provide the trusted against we are never leak informations of a cyber crime. So it is one of the facilitate that electronics filling like Aadhaar card. In Aadhaar card we know that there are some QR code it should be mentioned. Through the QR code we getting all the private and basic information. If some hacker can access this QR code, so they can easily access our private informations. Next, facilitate the electronic storage of data where we actually storing our informations. So all the thing it should be part of objective of IT Act 2000. If any of the things should be happen through this mentions 4.1, the IT Act should be overcome and they provide the legal action against all the things. Now, what are the features of Information Technology Act of 2000? First, all electronic contracts made through the secure electronics channel are legally valid through the digital signature. So in India after 2000 there are the lots of things it should be very popular perform on online through the internet because of IT Act 2000. Second, legal recognitions for the digital signature. When some company which should be registered in India, they have some digital signature, through this they can provide his or her representation against the authentications. Third, security measures for electronic records and also digital signature are in a place. If some digital signature should be not part of any kind of transaction, it should be not legal one. So we just identified before the transactions it should be a legal one or not legal with help of a digital signature. Fourth one, produce for the appointment of adjusting officers for holding the inquiries under the act in finalize. Means nowadays we are book so many things like bus booking, railway booking, airline bookings, TV cinema, and all the things which should be booked either remotely as per our predefined time. So it is one of the things where we just easy to access all the things without going to the particular place. It is one of the features which will be provided by the IT Act. Fifth, provisions for establishing a cyber regularity appellants tribunals under the Act. Further, this tribunal will be handle all the appeals made against the order of control or adjusting officers. As previously we go through the digital forensic, it is nothing but the team they can produce a report against the cybercrime and should be represented behalf of ourselves into the code. So it is one of the future, it should be part of IT Act. An appeal against the order of the Cyber Appellants Tribunal is possible only in a High Court. So please guys, if some cyber attack or in some criminal activity should be performed via internet, it should be performed within only the High Court. It's never provide the justification of a state level, or we can say a district level court. Next, digital signature will be used a asymmetric crypto system and also a hash functions. So any basic questions, how digital signature will be generated? So as the answer we say is that a digital signature, it is the use of asymmetric cryptography system and also use of hash functions. It's the combinations of two technology. Through this we can generate a digital signature. 8.1 Provisions for the appointment of the Control of Certificate Authority CCA to license and regulate the working of certifying authorities. As per the online courses, they have certified that through this they are never produce any kind of unauthorized activity, they are never misuse his or her personal informations, and they are never leak a private data through the any agency. That's why the certifications of authority provide the granting of the online courses. The control to act as a repository of the all digital signature. Through this they can provide it. 9. The act applies to offense of controversies committed outside the India. As we know that if some company or organization is be a part of India, if its server is part of India, or if they are exporting something in India, then this act should be performed, and any of the things should be performed within the India. They manage, or they are performing, or they are providing some of the rules which should be managed by the IT Act, and they are following compulsory. 10th, senior police officers and other officers can enter any public place and search and arrest without warrant. Through this, if any cyber crime it should be happened and they're getting some evidence through the digital forensics, so a senior police officer or officer, they can arrest with a particular person of identity which should be generated by digital forensic without any kind of warrant. And the last way, provisions for the constitutions of a cyber regulations advisory committee to advise the central government and controls. Means who can manage the IT Act? It is a provisions of constitutions of a cyber regulation advisory committee. It should be advised by the central governments and a controllers. So all the 11 point we need to remember that what are the different features of IT Act. It should be defined in India for the cyber crimes. And guys, it is your complete of unit number 4, known as cyber laws and cyber crimes. I hope you are enjoying this all the videos, and please be remember all the 11 points which should be most important from the exam point of view as well as IT Act point of view, which are really required in nowadays. Thank you so much.